Fred and Dre, they know the culture of defense and what we stand for, and they've been around it for a while, so their leadership is really good for our young players to see, and they're proven that they have the quality that we look for in linebackers. That they play fast, they run and hit, and they're capable of making plays that determine games. And I think, as a coach, the longer you're in it, the more that you learn and knowledge of it that you can give back to the players. And I always tease the players that I wish I had known what I know now when I played, but I get a chance to give it to them. And I think that's, the older you get, the more you run the game, you just learn stuff all the time, and you're able to give it back to the players so they can perform at a high level.
Helping Ronaldo kind of raise his game as well?
Well, to me, I don't think, Ronaldo looks around in the room and say, okay, I got to raise my game. I think Ronaldo understood that, I'm going into my third year. What do they expect out of me? The expectation was high. And it's different when young guys really don't understand that, hey, you coming into an organization that's used to winning. You step on this field, they expect you to be the best in the league. And then now I think he understands that. So it really doesn't matter about Jack or anything like that. I think that adds to it. There's competition there. But I think Ronaldo had his agenda that, hey, I want to go out there and I'm going to prove the guys that I can go out there and play at a high level. And then he took it out on himself. To me, he understands guys that I've kind of coached. He talked to guys like Xavier Rhodes and stuff like that in the off season. They went to the same university. What do you get? What information you going to get? How can Jerry teach you to be better? And mostly, it's about the mental part of the game. With Ronaldo, you got the athletic ability, you got the talent. Hey, take the mental part of the game, put it with your athletic ability, and you'll be really good. He's going through rookie stuff right now. It's like, okay, where do I fit in? What am I supposed to do? He's really quiet, so he really doesn't talk a lot. So you have to kind of watch his body language and bring him in sometimes. We always have a lot of extra time for rookies, and that helps him a lot because now he can ask the questions that he won't ask in front of everyone else.
Nate Hobbs, you spoke of raising the game. Was that fair to say that yesterday was his best practice with all those pass breakups so far?
Well, yeah, to me, I think, Nate had he had missed the last part of OTAs, and he missed a little bit of part of the coming into training camp. So I think that's kind of like he's getting his feet under him now. He understands what we want him to do. He's doing those type of things, and I think that's what's going to make Nate a lot better football player. Again, I knew Nate when he was over with the Raiders, so I knew Nate, and then I knew, I watched him a little bit at Green Bay. He's, what he did over there. So we understand the type of player he is. Now let's put him in a position where he can go out there and play the way we had him, or they had him when he was with the Raiders.
Obviously, yeah, he saw a lot more success with the Raiders. What does this staff attribute that to? I know he played inside more with the Raiders. Is that something that you guys have taken note of as well?
Well, the good thing is he got the ability to do both. And, we try to cross-train our guys because we know on any given Sunday you may have 9 or 10 guys up. And so you can't just say, hey, this guy can only play one position. Most of the time corners like Demo, we're going through that right now with Stout. Nate has that ability. Teague has that ability. We're looking for other guys to say, okay, can you play two positions? Can you play this position and be good at that position? So if a number goes down during the course of a game, this is not the first time you're going out there. This is not the first time you played that position. So we're looking for those guys to do that. And we could see that Nate has that ability, and now we add into what we've always done in other places.
What was Stout in particular? I know Raheem calls it the star position, right? That's what Ramsey played for the Rams, kind of all over the formation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that the goal is to get multiple guys able to play in different spots so you could kind of make it more amorphous and adaptable?
Yeah, you can, because now not only do you have 9 or 10 guys up, you may have 12 guys. Because if one guy goes down, hey, Stout, I know we had you at training camp. Can you go outside? Hey, Demo, we know you had you at training camp. Can you go back inside? Can you do those things if you lose a guy? And a lot of times we're not waiting for that game to show up. We want to experiment during the course of training camp where there's really no spotlight, there's no danger, you just get them experience and exposure. So now if something happens in a game, that's not his first time out there. And you know, yeah, the star position is what we, you know, everybody call the nickel, but really it's a nickel position. But at the end of the day, it's our job to make sure that our guys are cross-trained and not just playing one position.
How are the safeties looking? I know we talked so much about the corners, the safeties in particular. Have you been happy with them?
Yeah. Those guys are doing fantastic. You know, when you look at, you know, the guys that we got back there, we brought in a couple of guys. We got some other guys kind of moving over. So now we created competition there, and that helps us a lot. You know, I know when I watched their tape last year, I seen like 5 or 6 guys back there, you know, on tape. So now we're trying to solidify that position. Hey, can we get our guys to play for 18 or 19 or 20 weeks other than having a guy play here and 4 or 5 games, another guy play 4 or 5 games? You know, to me, I think that kind of hurts you because that guy doesn't get consistency. You know, you create that consistency during the OTAs and then training camp, and now he can talk to his friend that's out there. He understands what's going on, and that's how you actually get communication between the safeties and you get better.
John watches practice from the safety's vantage point. He loves it in center field. How much, like, specific GMs don't normally give coaching feedback, but because he played safety, how much do you get to talk to him about that position in particular?
Oh, a lot. I mean, to me, you know, like he may come by and ask, you know, not about what we're teaching, but about what he may have seen on film. Like, oh, okay, I seen a guy did this. You know, what is his thought process? Because he wants to know how is he evaluating the players correctly, and not through his eyes, but through our eyes. And to me, I think that's only fair that he gets a chance to come in and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how to coach your guys. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But again, if you explain to me what he's doing, that helps me evaluate better. You know, they go out there and they compete, and they not only are they competing against the offense, they know that there's only so many spots on the team, right? But they're not worried about that. They know that they're just going to go out there and do their job at a high level. And so I always talk to them about alignment assignment technique. You know, I tell them I'm never going to coach your effort, because if I got to coach the effort, we got the wrong guy. You know, there's no way you should never, ever have high effort. And I think that's the standard the 49ers have set before I even gotten here. So they understand that. They understand that part. So our job is to make sure that that standard stays. And now can we create another standard in the room of having the best DBs in the league? How do you do that? You got to compete. You got to go against the offense. You got to understand technique. You got to understand, and the next step is going to be, how do we understand film? How do you break that film down? How do you do those things? Because I think that's the next step of becoming a pro. In the room, I always try to create an atmosphere of questions and answers. You know, there's never a right and wrong. You know, I'm never the guy that's going to have all the answers. I want to hear from you. Okay, how do you think about this technique? You know, we had a discussion yesterday, giving an example. RG was talking about press technique. You know, and then I got a philosophy of press technique, but then I also know that there's not one way for every player. So now he's like, okay, now do I have the ability to go out there and do that? Of course you do. You know, because I don't want you to think that just because if you got something in your brain that you know that works, why would I take that away from you? So that's the kind of thought process that we have in our room. Hey, open conversation. Don't worry about, there's not going to be a backlash. There's not going to be any of those things. How can we get our job done the best way that fits you? And I think that's where I see confidence growing with our players, because they understand that. You know, it's not going to be, hey, it's not just Jerry's way. It's not just Raheem's way. It's your way. How do your way fits what we're trying to get you guys to do and play better?
Be good in 11-on-11 and one-on-one pass rush where everybody knows it's pass, and it's, you know, kind of a drill that defense should have advantage because we know it's pass run. This year in 11-on-11 settings, he's really excelled, like makes multiple like pretty big plays each practice, you know, in the backfield, penetrating, disrupting. His pass rusher showed in 11-on-11, so it's been good. He just needs to keep going in the direction he's heading, stacking one day on top of the next, and just as he has since he's gotten here, from day one till now, he's made tremendous strides within his game.
When you were talking to Eason and Thompson and their agents during the draft and trying to sell them on the 49ers, what was your selling point that there's a path to the 53-man roster at that position?
For sure. You know, you try not to, you know, going into the process, you try never not to just tell a guy what you think they want to hear. If it's, hey, we really see you more as a developmental guy that's going to, take maybe a year on the practice squad, and then, going into year 2 to year 3, we could see you being a 53 guy, but we like you. And we'd love for you to come in here and develop and try to earn a practice squad spot. And so try to be honest with them there, because they appreciate honesty. But with these 2 guys, we saw them as dudes that could compete for 53-man roster spots. With Bryson, just the size you saw on tape.
Do the numbers change as far as, you guys are doing a lot more 5-man line? Does that change at all, like how you figure to comprise your defense line, the numbers you keep at the end?
We'll see. Kyle thinks I try to get as many. If we could have 20 D linemen, he thinks I want 20 of them by the end of the year. So we'll see once it's all settled. John and Kyle make the final number decisions and all that. They don't leave that up to me, or we'd have more D linemen.
You certainly make a strong case, can't you?
We'd have more D linemen every single year. So we'll just let them sort that out.
You bring a lot of energy, man. What keeps you going, and what keeps that consistency for you out there on the field every day?
Just the burning desire to get better, the burning desire to pursue perfection. Football's not a perfect game, but we want to be as close as possible as we can each and every day. And then just the pursuit of helping you guys get better every day, and just pouring into them and try to show them the energy that you want them out there playing with. D-line's a different animal. It ain't like coaching other positions. It's, they want to see you out there. And you can, everybody does it a little different way. Mine's to, hey, let me show them the passion I'm going to bring out there each and every day, and let them feed off of it. Sometimes I need them, sometimes they need me. And let's go at it together. And just a constant pursuit of trying to get a little bit better each and every day for the common goal at the end.
What's the competition been like in camp? Because the DBs are playing with this kind of style, they're challenging for more balls, and quarterbacks have talked about it, some of the receivers have mentioned it. How is that, I guess, adding an element to what we want to see in camp?
I mean, it's been fun for me, because those guys compete on their own. Like, it's literally Jack goes and makes a play, or Ronaldo makes a play, or Demo, any of those guys make a play. They're so excited for each other, but you hear the guys say, okay, it's my turn. Like, I got to go make a play. So I think it's just one of those things where I see my brother make a play, now it's my time to go make a play. Not chase a play, but just go make a play. So I think the competition level's been high. I think it's been a lot of fun, but I think that's what you want. That's how a group grows. You need that for your growth of every individual. So I think it's been a lot of fun just kind of watching it. Every now and then I'll try and poke at it, just see if I can poke the bear. I did it to Tig the other day, and he laughed it off, but it kind of gets them going, where they kind of talk to each other and they kind of go. So it's been a lot of fun for us as a staff.
What do you say?
What did he say?
What do you say? What do you say to him? Poke the bear?
I think that's one of those things I'm gonna keep between me and him right now.
Is it
I think it's one of those
personalized?
things. You have to understand the individual. If you understand the individual, you understand what works for each individual person. I can't say anything to Ronaldo. I'm gonna let Ronaldo just go do his thing. But there are ways that I can poke at Demo. There are ways I can poke at Stout. But I think every guy is different. Like, if I said something to Ronaldo, he's gonna say, "Man, that doesn't work for me," and he kind of laughs. But when he laughs, that does keep him loose, so he can go play. And I think it's just, as a coach, you have to do a great job of understanding your players. I think you have to understand you can't coach everybody the same way. So once you get a great understanding of them, you understand how to coach them. One, you have to care. I think that's a big thing. And I don't care what level you're at, I think you have to care. If you don't care about your players, man, I don't know why you do it. At the end of the day, life is about relationships. In 20 years, those dudes should be able to call me and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, or this is how life is going. You have any advice? If they can't call me, I really didn't do a great job. And so I think you do have to care. They have to know that you care outside of the football field. But once you get an understanding of them, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, then I think it elevates their play, because you understand how to coach them. Everybody's different, just like everybody's play style is different. If we go out there and we look at their press style, everybody's going to be a little different, because it's catered to that person. And so once you understand that person, then you can kind of work, you can tweak some things, and you know how to motivate them, which honestly, you don't really have to motivate this group. But we all need to have great self-talk. And I think those guys, it's kind of one of the things that Jerry's brought to the room is really the self-talk from themselves, but also we can add in on those things. But as you get to understand the person, you understand kind of what they need in those moments, and you also understand when to leave them alone.
What keeps you going? What keeps that consistency there just for you yourself personally when it comes to, how you show up?
I think one is just being authentic. I'm gonna stay true to who I am. Like, I'm a guy, every now and then I'll talk a little noise with them, have a little fun with them, but I think it's a game. Like I GA for Mike Leach coming up, and one thing he told me, it was a game. The game's meant to be fun. So you want to make sure that you have fun. So I try to make sure I have a little fun with those guys, but honestly, I just enjoy what I do. Like, I could be anywhere else in the world doing anything else. I really enjoy it, and I want guys to see it when they're around me.
So you guys go see come Thursday. It's not supposed to be is how much better he's gotten from year 1 to year 2, and he's doing some really good stuff for us.
Drake told us that he's kind of transitioning into a leader, that he heard him yelling at practice the other day, and he kind of got happy over that. What have you seen from like his change in mentality, being more vocal with the
Greenlaw?
guys? No, Nick Martin.
Oh, Nick. Oh, let me. You said Nick has gotten more vocal, or Greenlaw's gotten more?
Yeah, Greenlaw told us the other day that he heard Nick Martin like yelling at
Oh.
practice,
Oh.
and that made him happy because
Yeah.
he was like, oh, okay, Nick, like get more vocal with the guys. Do you see him like transitioning into that leader type of role eventually?
Yeah, eventually. Not now. I want him to focus on being a good football player, be a good linebacker, right? Find the ball well, use your strengths, use your speed, right? That's what I want him to focus on in year 2 of his career. Let Fred, let Greenlaw, let them lead the defense. But for Nick, I just want him to just do what he's been doing these last few days, right? He's seeking missile, and when you really see it on Thursday, you'll see exactly why we drafted him in the 3rd round.
With a guy like Jaden, his versatility and the way he's kind of moved around, he'd spend a day at the defensive line group. How do you balance that with, I guess, affording him the time to like learn these positions, right? And as a rookie coming in, just trying to get acclimated.
Yeah, because your head can spin playing. I was telling him he plays every day in practice. Plays Mike, Will, and the star position, right? And now throw him a curveball, ain't gonna play D-line. Like, what that can do a lot to a player's mind. When I kid you not, guys, he handled it. It's pitch perfect, right? He went with the D-line, he rushed, he set the edge, showed some really good versatility. Did one-on-ones against the running backs, made it look easy. And so he is a linebacker. Like, he's not a D-line, he is a linebacker. But as time goes on, things happen. You need a 3rd down package. Hey, you go play defensive end, you go burn that edge, and get after that quarterback. He can do that. But his main position is a linebacker, but he can also, down the line, showcase that he can go on the line of scrimmage, be extra valuable for us.
Is there something in film study that stood out, like since he's been in the building, that showed you he has that wherewithal to handle this kind of load? Mike, Will, Star.
Yeah, no, I knew it when I interviewed him in April or whatever. I knew, it's like this guy can handle multiple things. He did it in college. Like, a guy that played safety, a guy that played on the ball, a guy that went to Mike linebacker. I knew that he could handle, what we're asking him to do. It's not easy, but for a guy to be able to play 3 position in practice is really cool to see. So I'm just excited for his future, and we meet every day as rookies, each and every practice. We get on the board, tell me what you see. I hand him the clicker, you're the coach, and we just talk it out.
Do you try to, you put him on the board pre-draft and try to trip him up? I mean, how do you figure that out?
Nope, I don't like to trick anybody. I just want to I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask football questions. I'm going to get on the tape, tell me what you see. Walk me through your progression throughout the week and how you get ready to play a football game. I can tell for guys who have a plan. I can tell guys who don't have a plan, right? And he was a guy that had a plan. He had a regimen. He had a routine. And for him to just play Mike in Louisiana Lafayette, his just 1 year, I knew that he was still raw. He still had some growing and developing to do. And so he's still growing. We practice 10. Yeah, he's going to keep getting better each and every time he steps on the football field.
KJ, when he was in college, he played all those positions, and then you have your idea watching this film.
Yeah.
When you get him on the field, and maybe specifically when you get him in pads, how does that change, or how does that influence how you want to use him, how you envision him from the guy you first saw on film?
Yeah, and the thing is with Duggar, like, he is that guy that I saw on film. He is like, you guys see this man run from the numbers to the other numbers, like he covers so much grass, you know what I mean? When you see him tackle, like, we don't obviously tackle, we see him like make contact, he's a guy that can sink into his hips, same way that he was in college, right? It's just my job to make sure that keep tapping to those strengths that he has, but also let's keep developing, taking on linemen, let's keep developing striking, get comfortable in front of the huddle, because, you know, there's about to be about 60,000 fans out there next week. You got to be loud, you got to be vocal, you got to get everybody on the same page. And so it's going to obviously be growing pains as a rookie, but as time goes on, he's going to be a guy.
KJ, Larry Worth, is he a star player? I mean, as far as like, you know, that hybrid player, what do you see with him, and what have you thought of him so far this summer?
Yep, star and will, and had a good conversation with Larry about 3 days ago. Like, your whole career you've been back here.
Yeah.
Now you go from here, you also go from there, right? That's going to take time. It's going to take time to go from safety to play linebacker. But looking at this franchise's background, Demetrius Flan did it. Flan did it. You had guys that go from safety to play linebacker. It is doable, but it's going to take some time. How do I take on a 300-pound lineman each and every play? I'm used to being on the back end. I got to take on the lineman each and every play. How to take on the center and guards. Where are my eyes at? So he's been doing really good. Just getting started. But to go from safety to linebacker, it is going to take some time.
What did you see when you watched
defense? I feel like every day I go in there and talk to him, and obviously he's providing us some new challenges too in terms of the looks and things like that, which is good for us to get ready for the year. So nothing but positive about Raheem and what he's doing.
And it seems like the guys have talked about how it's more simplified for them, and so they don't have to analyze as much.
Defensively? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, the details of what they're doing, I'm not 100% on, but I would lean on them saying that. I think, I think his scheme and what he's doing has made it, in a lot of ways, beneficial to our guys to play fast, to do their jobs well, and also focus on all the same things we always have: physicality, intent, running to the ball, and things like that. So. So good.
Yeah, Nick White.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Obviously, banged up at running back right now. What's it been like just trying to kind of sort through your options and as you're trying to figure out who RB2 is behind Christian? Has it been real challenging, or how do you kind of look at it?
No, I think it's always challenging when you have multiple guys out of the lineup. Practice and reps and obviously you want to evaluate everybody out there under the same circumstances, but injuries are a part of training camp. They're a part of the season, and the guys that we have out there they've been doing a great job competing, executing, and that's really the mindset. That can happen during the year where you can have a couple guys go down and guys got to step up. So they're doing a good job, coaches and players of rolling with the punches and getting the most out of practice and doing everything the right way.
But before he got banged up, it seemed like Kalon had a kind of advanced ability to just kind of pick his hole and hit it and go. How rare is that for a rookie, especially on outside zone stuff, to kind of have that, just kind of innate ability of like, I'm ready to go?
Yeah, that was probably the number one thing that attracted us to him, was just his his mentality when he put his foot in the ground, the burst that he had. So really we just honing that in comes natural to him. Obviously he had a couple good days there of training camp, and we were still excited to see him out there. Just got to get him back and continue to get better, continue to learn the offense, and hopefully we get him back out there soon.
So much was made this offseason that the run game wasn't at the level you guys expected to be last year. What has been kind of the steps that you guys have tried to take to add that back? I know sometimes it's just one little thing, but was there any impetus, like things that you found, common threads that prevented it from last year?
Yeah, I think you go in the off season and you evaluate everything, scheme, how you're coaching things, and all that stuff. We know that last year it wasn't what we wanted in terms of where we ranked in the league and some of the outputs we had.
But it's no particular one thing. Everybody shares a blame. Everybody shares credit, however you want to look at it. It's just this offseason has just been a focus on us and doing what we do as best we can under any circumstance. And those are the things that are going to get us through the season and get us back to where we want to be in the run game.
Hank has talked about the fact that he didn't think the receivers were at the level he wanted to be in the run game, blocking wise. When you go get a guy like Stribling, like how much is, I know obviously that's not the main reason you're drafting that guy, but how much is that a thought of like we got to make sure that everything is buttoned up here?
No, I mean I think that's a good point. I mean when we talk about our run game, usually we start with our receivers and setting the tone for us and whether running off the ball just like our O-line, blocking just like any guy we would ask out there to do. And those guys have been such a huge part of the reason why we've had sustained success in the run game. And like Hank said, that wasn't necessarily where we wanted it to be last year. So getting guys like Strib and bringing in guys like Mike and getting a guy like Debo back who's been in the system, those guys, they can take our run game from here to there just with the fundamentals, the technique, and the intent. So
and just kind of naturally being out there, like when you're lacking explosives, which is kind of the big thing that those skew the numbers a lot, right? Like those seem like those are the guys where it's usually like the one block that you get to get that explosive, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think over the years, people have seen, awesome clips of our guys down the field making those plays. Ultimately, to me, it's a numbers game, right? Like if we have 2 tight ends and 5 linemen, and they can block, the 7 big people on the field, and if we get a hat on a hat, it's those other guys that's going to determine, how far that play goes after that. And so those guys giving that extra effort or getting that block done on the backside or on the call side can be the difference between 6-7 yard runs and, all the way to the house. So, but like I said, it's not just the receivers. It's every position has to improve on from last year to get us back to where we want to be. So, yeah, of course.
When it comes to evaluating the run game, so I have seen a lot of good stuff that I saw from college with him, and it's been very awesome.
Saturday, Brock threw a couple of pick sixes. What's he like when you sit down with him after a practice when the ball's going back the other way? What's his mentality like? What are those conversations like?
Practice interceptions are funny because they happen for certain reasons other than just ones that maybe happen in a game, right? I think Brock has always been a guy who really doesn't focus on the last play. He focuses on the next one. I mean, you guys saw one of his best games of the year he played against Chicago. He's a big reason he won that game. Offense played really well. His first throw of the game was a pick six, And I think when you play quarterback, you're going to make some mistakes, you're going to miss some throws, and the defense is going to make some good plays. And just like any other sport, you're not focused on the good and the bad that just happened. You got to move on to the next thing. And I think that's one of Brock's great strengths is he's able to do that and flush the bad and the good and just focus on what's in front of him, where his feet are right now.
And you see that when you're watching the film after a practice?
No, yeah, totally. Again, all those guys I have, and when they go in the meeting room, plays like that, if they're playing a certain way and playing how we ask them in terms of timing and I would say just overall demeanor, those things are what you want to see. That's the process of practice, right? I'm not really focused on much some of the result of the play because if you practice a certain way, that's progress to me, and I think they all understand that. So when we go in the meeting room and Kyle, Clay, and myself talk to them, they understand there's a standard. And the standard is not so much the result, the standard is so much the process. And I think that's what they all try and do the best.
Brock had choice words for a teammate after.
I'm sorry?
Brock had some choice words for a teammate after an interception yesterday. How often do you see that Brock come out?
The fiery Brock?
Well, yeah, the non-church Brock.
I think he's a competitor, right? So that's what's made him really kind of successful, obviously, throughout his career at Iowa State and then here. So I think when you're a competitor, even if you go against our defense or offense, he wants to do good. He wants to execute his job, and so I think that's good for the team and for him to kind of just show how important it is to him. It's a third down versus our defense for the 20th billionth time this Phase 2 OTAs training camp. He wants to win that. He's a competitor, and I think it's good for this team to see how important it is to him. Because if it's important to him, it's going to be important to everybody. Same thing if Fred, gets lively after punching the ball out or misses one. It's the same thing. They're competitors and they want to compete. So it comes out when it needs to.
Yeah. he has, I mean, perspective on football, his life, and he's added stuff. He's now a dad, and has another one on the way. I mean, obviously you're not going home with Brock, but can you speak to just how he? I mean, this is a high pressure job. How he balances kind of all this and maintaining his perspective on things.
I think that's the biggest thing. Anything, learning perspective. I mean, I'm sure he would be offered something in terms of success in the football field or success at home. I think, that's the great thing about life. You're going to choose success at home. So you go home and you see your kids and your wife, and same thing for me. I go home to my wife Michelle and my 3 kids, and if they're happy, then I'm happy. When you go to work, you're trying to do your best, but at the same time, that's how you balance it. Understanding you prioritize what's important to you. And again, he has a job, I have a job, you guys all have jobs. But at the end of the day, your family's the most important thing to you. And I think, he values family and he values his, I would say, just overall goals as a professional, but family's always going to come first. And I think that goes for anybody. Family comes first for me, family comes first for most people. And I think that's something that people can get lost in. It's like football players or coaches, it's the only thing they do, the only thing they worry about. And yeah, there's some extent you get caught in the season, there's a lot going on, but there's more important things in life than just football. And I think it's important for any coach or player to really just learn how to prioritize that and understand that I make sure I invest as much as I do in my family as I do in my job.
Those defenders that believe we're doing something different, that helps out a lot. I always preach speed first, and then after that, having a mentality. All right, when you're tough and you're not afraid to go across the middle, then no matter what a quarterback put it, you got a chance to catch it.
What kind of role do you see for Watkins, ex-receivers, even sure? And again, you guys can cross-train, but ideally, where would he be lining up more often?
I think this time of the year is important for everybody, and not only Watkins himself, but every receiver in the room. We all got to establish that role, themselves, as far as what they're capable of, going out there making the plays, whether you're showing you can beat man-to-man coverage at the line of scrimmage, or you're showing you're going to make the plays down the field. Players themselves dictate, determine the role that, they're put in. So the guys, they've been doing awesome competing every single day, whether with the DBs, doing one-on-ones, or doing team periods. Watkins has been doing an awesome job. Like I said, he's taking a step, and I feel he's a guy that can help us out. Now he just got to make sure he's continuing to work, and not get content with, having a little success, and keep climbing the ladder.
What about contested catches with him? You mentioned scribbling, hauling in those. It seems like Watkins doesn't always haul in those. I mean, what does he need to do to kind of improve that facet of his game?
You know what? Watkins himself got great hands. Another one. I'm not just saying that about the guys scribbling, West and Watkins. You go back and turn on the tape. Cal mentioned when we drafted Watkins about the gauntlet drill. He got great hands himself. And not only him, I think us all, in the room, receiver room, we haven't done a great enough job, in those contested catch situations. There's a lot more. Like we like to say, everybody says 50-50. We like to say 90, 95, 5, 90-10, So as a group, we got to come down with a lot more of those, and we got to keep working. I got to continue to put those guys in situations that, in indie periods, pre-practice, post-practice, that way we can continue to have the confidence, and coming down with those catches because, again, it's expected. That allows us, right, to continue the momentum, on offense, sustain drives, and eventually get more opportunities for every player on the field.
How excited were you when you found out that Deebo Samuel coming back, and what can we expect from him this year?
Deebo's a great player. He has been, a ton of touchdowns he's provided for us in the past, close to 5,000 yards, receiving, and he's an explosive player, and I still see exactly that, and we're all excited that we can bring back that element, another player in the room with explosiveness. He always has that tough mindset, and he's always been a fun coach, so great to have him back.
When you're watching the tape of 11s, this is a ridiculous question, I admit, but is it better to be getting a lot of targets and not catching the ball, or to not get any targets at all?
Hey, you know what? When it comes to playing receiver, right, every single rep that we on the field is an opportunity, and at the end of the day, if you're getting the ball, right? That's a chance for you to show out and to allow people to see you what you're not doing if you didn't get the ball. Guys who doesn't get the ball, right, it's hard to show. But guess what? Us coaches, we see everything, so it really doesn't matter. I tell my guys, run every route like you get the ball, block every play like it's going to be a touchdown. Because, right, that's only one football that's going to go around. That's only Brock got to see it the right way, Matt got to see it the right way. It's a lot of variables for us to get the ball. So we still got to go out there and play our best football, even if we have the ball or we don't.
What have you taken away from the blocking with the young guys so far? That's obviously so
They're
important.
coming along, they're coming along. It's always, right, guys, especially college guys, right, is when you're at the top of the depth chart in college, sometimes it's not as close as hard, so it's always a learning curve, it's always, right, us as coaches, we have to demand it from guys because it's a big part of who we are as a team, as an organization, and the guys have been doing awesome, right? We got the rookies, right, Will, tough as nails, Scribb, same thing, tough as nails, and even Wes, now it's all about the technique that they're using and understanding, right, when we're running outside zone versus inside zone.
Christian had NFL high 413 touches last year. Did you have a special favorite out of those 413, or was there a special play with him off the ball when he didn't have the ball?
No, he has. He has so many because he's a pro. He plays with the ball in his hands and he's busting his tail. He's a team above self. So no, there's not just one play. Christian is Christian.
Like there's not one play in his career that's a signature Christian McCaffrey play that that's his favorite play, or that you're going to get.
No, I have several, but you need to ask Christian which one for him. But I have several.
You would assume it's a run and not a catch.
No, both. I have in all three categories, okay, and him playing without the ball.
Correct.
So I have one in each category, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
You won't give us your favorite run from him?
No, there's quite a few, but
Give us
but
one.
he
It's coming.
No, that's right. Later on, I'll say that years from now when I'm done coaching.
Bobby, you were around Walsh because you mentioned you were here in '88. One of the great football minds of any era, really. What did you take away from Walsh in being around him that maybe you used in your stops after that?
Well, one of the things, I was around him more than just being in for the internship, because I used to come up. And I visited NFL teams to become the best of the best. But he was very detailed, and he was a teacher. And that's the main thing. He was detailed. He was an ultimate, coach. And I've always considered myself a detailed coach, but I definitely came away very impressed with him. The details and winning.
Is Kyle a similar detailed teacher?
Yes. And also from Coach Walsh about, and the same thing with not only, of course, Kyle learned so much from Mike. And Mike was also here. But looking out for your players. We practicing fast, practicing hard, and then knowing when to give your players because they need to be fresh. And so Coach Walsh picked that up from him, Mike Shanahan, and obviously Kyle.
Christian looks fresh this training camp. He changed his trainers. He's doing a little bit different outside of the building training. Does he look more bouncy and spry to you?
I won't say more bounce. He's fresh and he's ready to go. And the key thing is mentally and what comes out of his mouth, his facial, his body tone, all of that. His body, he's going to take care of his body and whatever it takes. And so, yes, I feel he's fresh and ready to go.
Bobby, what do you see with Debo this summer? You guys are using him as a running back, as a receiver, kick returner, but he really does look like he's in good shape, and he looks like he's in a great frame of mind. You see this closer than we do. What do you see with him?
Just what you just said. He's ready to go. He's Debo.
Yeah.
Okay, so meaning, he's fresh. He's going to bring excitement. We can use him in multiple ways. He's Debo. And so, yes, I'm excited to have him back.
When you first were deploying him as a running back,
Those guys are special, and they're rare, you know. And for him to even, like you said, be able to talk about it, and he's special. And it's just amazing to see the way he works, the way he rehabs, the way he attacks everything. Like it's unbelievable to watch. And it's George. It doesn't surprise me. That's who he is.
How often is he in there like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, or I'm going to show that I can do this and do it quickly? Do you hear that a lot these days?
It's not even that. It's just the way he is every day. And I think to get to the level that he's gotten to, guys like that have that in them, where they're always constantly trying to prove people wrong and constantly trying to show he's the best. And so you can definitely see that drive. And it's not something he has to talk about, but it's just the way he works and attacks every day.
How helpful for you is stepping into this role, like to have a guy like him who can be kind of a sounding board for you, but also set a standard for those other guys in that room to like follow along? How helpful is that?
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing to be able to step in a room with a guy of just his caliber and his experience level, and to where it's like there's areas that I've never ran routes, and I've never done what he's had to do, and so I'm always trying to get into his brain in terms of how he sees things, and he's been incredible in that sense.
Luke Farrell's a guy who's probably, maybe I'm just asking, but
you're good.
Catching a lot of balls here lately. What steps has he taken in the pass game that you've seen this year that's allowed him to be more involved?
I see a guy that's playing with a lot of confidence and speed, and I feel like he's more confident in the system in year 2, and he's playing fast, he's playing physical, and he's showing he's not just a blocker. And so I'm really proud of what he's put on tape so far, and he's hungry to improve.
He's kind of pegged as that blocking tight end when he came in.
Definitely.
That's how he's made his living in this league.
Right.
What is it like to talk to him about, I guess, taking the step to incorporate a little bit more?
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely. The challenge for him is don't put yourself in that box. Why can't you be the all-around tight end? And that's kind of the standard that George set. And so, if you show you can do that, there's options for you to get the ball in this offense. And so, with Luke coming into year 2, is just like I said, there's a lot more confidence, and he's playing with a lot more speed and urgency, and he's showing that he can run. And so I'm really happy with where he's at.
I guess Jake is maybe the opposite of that. Like he's more like the receiving type.
Of course, yeah.
So how has that progression been for him? He got time on the field last year.
Of course.
Where he can kind of incorporate more of that.
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse of Luke in terms of don't just be the receiving guy. Like, come in and show that we can run the ball behind you, and we need to have you on the field more. And so Jake is kind of taking that same mindset in the run game of, no, you can run behind me. And they get offended when we keep them on the backside or we send them to DBs. They want to prove that they can block defensive ends. And so I love that hunger in all the guys. Luke's trying to show that he can run routes. Jake's trying to show that he can block. And so that hunger and that competitiveness just raises the production of the game.
One more question on Jake's contract. Does that stability, how does that just, I don't know if it's complacency or if it's like it just gives them you talked about the confidence. Like, how does that maybe help you take that next step, feel comfortable, like in your own skin and being in the building?
I'm sure I can't speak for Jake, but it probably feels good to know that the organization believes in him, whatever the contract is. But my challenge for him is go get another one. Don't let that be the ceiling. Like, go get a bigger one next time. And so, like I said, I see a guy that's really hungry, and I think, like I said, just having that success on the field and getting a feel of what that's like. I think that's kind of struck something in him to where he's like, I belong and I can do this, and I'm excited what he's going to do this year.
What was one of your first conversations with him post-contract, post-extension?
Yeah, and actually Jake was one of the first guys that kind of came to my office during the transition, just asking what I saw last year, how he can improve, and that's been Jake the whole time in terms of just where can I get better, be very hard on me, be very just where can I improve, and he's super hungry, and he's always checking in a week after camp. He's in my office, how can I improve? And I think that's what it's a guy like Jake that's maybe kind of been an underdog and had to work his way up. There's a hunger in him that I love.